So, it's the morning after the day when Justin Roiland, co-creator of Rick and Morty, has been found innocent of those charges that were leveled against him. I've had some time to reflect on the subject, and I tried convincing myself that what I read yesterday was just some kind of hallucination brought on by drinking lemonade with agave nectar, but that didn't work. So I just kind of had to reconcile myself with the fact that Justin Roiland, massive piece of shit, incel king of the Western Hemisphere, is probably just going to head down to his In-N-Out burger today and order a quintuple burger off of the secret menu that he thinks is special as a Californian, and there's nothing that I can do. So I should probably just move on and stop focusing on Mr. Roiland. I mean, for now anyway. I'll definitely dunk on him considerably in the future, but I don't feel like really focusing on this anymore is all that productive. You know, he was only going to face like 5 years in jail. He probably would have gotten time off for good behavior. What I don't really understand is people talk about like Sneeko and Andrew Tate, and they're like, you know, these guys contribute so much to toxic masculinity. This is why men today are broken. No. Like, Rick and Morty's been around since 2014. It's been around for, almost 10 years at this point. It'll be turning 10 next year. So, like, just consider the amount of people who have grown up with this shit, who have become just unhealthily attached to this shit. It's a plague. It's a fucking epidemic. I don't think you can reasonably call yourself educated or competent or like media literate if you enjoy this kind of shit, because all Rick and Morty does is perpetuate toxicity and chauvinism in the modern age. There's nothing cool about it. It fucking sucks on like every level. Just watch fucking Back to the Future. It's a better fucking movie. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Rick and Morty fans, I don't know. I would go so far as to say they're more toxic and more annoying than Andrew Tate fans. I don't even care that much about Andrew Tate. When Andrew Tate got big and everyone's talking about Andrew Tate, I got fucking sick of it because, like, you know, I'm fucking over Andrew Tate. He's just some fucking guy with a big car, big mansion, and he's probably going to face more time in jail than Justin Roiland will. And he's only been around for like 2 years. And he sells scam courses. He hasn't like left a mark on pop culture. He hasn't fucked over the genre of science fiction with like shit. He hasn't been accused of shit as heinous as what Justin Roiland's been accused of. If you say that Justin Roiland is like this shining genius, you're delusional. Maybe he didn't lock this girl up in his basement. You know, maybe he's like, oh, you know, it was fake. We don't know who this girl is. You know, she hadn't come public, but you know, he still told Ellie Gortz to write a song about penises ejaculating on her. And this is your hero. This is the guy you excuse and normalize and go, yeah. I mean, that's real. You really said that to someone. Like, you seeing this shit? Am I just going crazy? The way I see it, it's as simple as if you defend Justin Roiland's horrible fucking behavior in any way or try to make excuses for it, you're complicit in systematic abuse, and I don't like you, and you suck. It's really as simple as that. He wants her to write a song about penis is ejaculating on her. That's real. That's a real thing. Like, you just that's just Justin being Justin. That's just fucking Justin up in there. That's just Justin. He's just kind of fucking offensive like that. He's just a fucking trash person, you know? And I really just, like I've said, I have no say in this, and I don't, you know, I'm not in danger of being sexually assaulted, so, you know, I don't get triggered or anything by situations like this where they're just like, you know, people who evade justice and gets away scot-free. You know, Kevin Spacey isn't in real jail right now. He's probably chuckling it up at Randy's Donuts. He's a knighted officer of the British Empire, honorarily, but he is like a fucking knight. He's not even British. He just bought a theater in England and renovated it, and that's all it takes to get knighted, I guess. So, good fucking job, Britain, knighting Kevin Spacey. Yeah, Kevin Spacey isn't in real jail. Who else isn't? You know, Bill Cosby's not in real jail anymore. You thought Bill Cosby was going to die in jail? No. He's out of jail. So, yeah, this really isn't anything new. And there's no reason to see Justin Roiland as any different than Bill Cosby or Kevin Spacey. They're just like, it's all the fucking same. It's just repetitive. It just goes on and on and on until Hollywood is just thoroughly dismantled. Nobody wants to work in a climate with figures like Justin Roiland in it. Who the fuck would? It's the worst climate to work in. Justin Roiland, just there, you know. He's just like there, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And I think he's kind of a sociopath. I said in the last video that I hope his conscience kind of gnaws at him, even if his career going forward is nothing but misery and failure. But I don't think he has a conscience. I don't think he has the ability to reflect on himself. And I think it's disgusting to say that you're like the victim, you're the victim of a false, you know, sexual assault claim or whatever. It's really gross. I can relate to that. If I have to say something I never figured I'd admit to, but I guess I'll probably recount this story in a lot of ways over the years, because it is an interesting story and an example of kind of the importance of conducting oneself responsibly. I was actually accused of sexual assault once. It's not fun. It's not a fun experience, but at the end of the day, I know I didn't do it, and people who can vouch for my character know I didn't do it, and I can live with that, you know? What happened it was during the Roe v. Wade protest that I went to, and I took a video of it, you know, because, you know, there were a lot of strong and brave women there who were willing to voice their opinions against a corrupt Supreme Court, you know, and I don't think the mainstream media, especially here in Denver, is capable of that. So I went down there, and it was just going to be an episode of Nick on the Streets. This is why I don't really do Nick on the Streets anymore. This is what kind of ruined it for me. I was just going to make it, you know, another episode of Nick on the Streets. You know, handled seriously and respectfully, of course, but with just as much, you know, try to make it interesting. But, you know, the 9 News reporter on the corner down there on Capitol Hill was just kind of like standing there, and they weren't talking to any of the protesters, and I like doing that. I like giving people the opportunity to speak their mind, say what they're thinking. So I get up to this first girl, and she's like, what news company do you work for? And I'm like, you know, I'm just independent. I'm an independent journalist. And she's like, I don't want to talk to you. And I was, you know, kind of weirded out by this, because I'd never dealt with that sort of hostility before. It was like, okay, you know, so I turned my camera off. And then this lady with the striped shirt, she looked like Waldo, and she was sitting there on the lawn with her dog. She was like, leave. I was like, what? And she was just like, go. And I was like, but I'm here to interview the protesters and see what they have to say. And she was like, fuck you. Fucking go, you piece of shit. Leave. You know, and I was caught off guard by this. And she was like, stop staring at my tits. And I was like, I'm not staring at your tits. I don't really, I'm just here to interview people, you know. And she called over a bunch of people, like 3 guys. I think they were all just like attracted to her or something. Like she wasn't that attractive, but they just wanted to, you know, kind of sim for her. One of them was like this fat hipster guy with fucking neck beard and glasses. He looked kind of like Justin Roiland. It was like, oh, that lady over there says you groped her on the hips 2 weeks ago. And I was like, what the fuck? You know, she said first that I was staring at her tits. Then she says I groped her on her hips. So she's just a liar. And I still to this day don't know what would compel someone to do something sociopathic like that. I think she was like suffering from some kind of mental illness, or maybe she was like just a fake Republican agent sent into the protest to stir up trouble and just like ruin the protest for everyone. Because I was there in solidarity with, you know, the pro-choice people. But this fat hipster guy was like, oh, you say that you live around here. That's proof that you grabbed her by her hips. And I was like, yeah, I live here in Denver. You don't live here in Denver? You don't fucking live around here? What the fuck are you doing at this protest? This is my community. This is my local city, and I live here, and I want to be a participant in social issues like this, and I'm a public figure. People know who I am and can vouch for my character, and I'm asexual. So there's literally no reason why I would just grope some woman randomly on the street. And I said, furthermore, I'm autistic. You know, maybe when I walked up to that first girl, I wasn't like the most forthcoming, or I didn't communicate quite right or whatever, but I can't really, you know, help that. I'm autistic, so. But he was like, you need to respect your consent and leave. And I was like, fuck you, I'm staying. Because she doesn't run this protest. It's not her fucking protest. She just wants to be the center of attention. And I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to interview these women, these women who are willing to speak the truth into my camera and voice their thoughts. And I did. I interviewed like 3 more women. But the whole time, these assholes were just standing behind the person I was trying to interview and going like, you're gonna fucking edit this to make us look bad. Fucking woman hater, you fucking piece of shit, you fucking rapist. It's like I was Ben Shapiro or Dave Rubin or something. It's just, it was a sad day. But the thing is, you know, I'm not really capable of false accusations like that really affecting me, because I know that they're not true at the end of the day. Like, I don't know who this lady was. I hope she just got therapy or something, or that her and this fat hipster guy just like made out that night and it made her happy or something. I hope she finds some kind of joy in life. There is nothing funny about making, you know, fake sexual assault allegations. That's not cool. But at the same time, the difference between me and Justin Roiland is that my conscience is clean, because I know I didn't do that. I know that there's just no, like, it just didn't happen. She was just lying, and that's just true. She was just fucking lying. I don't know why. And I learned a valuable lesson from that. I learned that I need to probably conduct myself more responsibly at protests, because they tend to be a little more heated and emotions kind of flare up more than, at, you know, just casually. just on a random day on the street, and there are going to be people there who kind of misconstrue your intentions and say that you're like anti-abortion, or you're like a Republican, or you're trying to shit on women or something. That wasn't the goal of my video at all. Luckily, I was able to edit all these assholes out of the video, which I did upload because it's important to hear these women speak. And some of them asked me to delete their video. They're like, can we opt out? You know, because these assholes were behind them, and they're like, he's anti-abortion, he's a fucking woman hater, and he's a rapist and piece of shit. And I was like, you know, they were like, can we opt out? And I was just very politely like, sure, you don't have to be in this video. I'll delete your footage, that's fine. But then there was this one really strong woman, this really like powerful, you know, convicted woman. There's this, you know, purple-haired asshat going back and forth behind the camera, like, he's gonna edit the video to make you look bad. He's a fucking anti-abortion journalist here. He's fucking raped, sexual assaulted that lady over there, and I believe her because she said that, and he doesn't respect consent. And I was like, I don't know what this is about. I'm so fucking sorry I have to put up with this shit. And she was just so fucking polite and cool about it. She was just like, you know, I hope you're not anti-abortion, but I have confidence that you're not, and you'll represent my words accurately. And she went along with it, and she's in the video. What a cool gal, you know. Just you know, she was great. She was so cool about it and understanding. You know, because protests only really work when you're in solidarity and you have a real common goal. This week I'm thinking about attending a pride protest, because I am asexual, so I am LGBTQ, not IA+, and I'd like to go down there. This happened like, you know, half a year ago, last summer, when Roe v. Wade was overturned the day of. And I felt helpless in that scenario too, just like how I feel helpless now that Justin Roiland isn't going to jail. Although obviously that's a much more pressing issue. It's a much more important issue, I think, that women have the right to bodily autonomy. And, you know, false sexual assault allegations are nothing to joke about. It's nothing to make fun of or, you know, just toss around casually. I later learned this protest wasn't very well organized. Like, they segregated by gender. You know, they were like, let's let the women just protest on their own, even though, you know, there might be some trans men with a uterus who want to protest. They don't consider themselves women, but the abortion thing does affect them. So I feel like they should be allowed to I feel like everyone should be allowed to protest on a subject that they care about. As someone who identifies as a man, I feel like it's my responsibility in society to push for, like, the fair and decent treatment of women, because women deal with so much fucking shit in society from shitheads like Justin Roiland, and that needs to stop. It just needs to end. It needs to be over with now, because it's 2023, and we need accountability. You know, we need personal responsibility. And if Justin Roiland isn't going to think about who he is, then, you know, fuck it. The difference between me and him is that I'm not a fucking multi-millionaire Californian big shot woo-hoo celebrity who can just fucking hypnotize everyone. I have to conduct myself with decorum, and I don't get to live this lifestyle of just constant indulgence. You know, I have real, like, struggles in life. Everything I said about Mr. Roiland in my original video on him, Justin Roiland and intellectual property, I think still stands and holds up really, really fucking well. And honestly, I'm kind of glad he didn't go to jail, because he'll still be around, and he'll still be able to relentlessly mock him and his legions of fans, do psychological warfare to break him down to his smallest possible level, effectively atomize his mentality. I think, we all need a heel, we all need a villain to turn on. I think we do. I think we need adversaries like that in life. The existence of Justin Roiland in this world, the existence of someone who's just so fucking morally bankrupt, it makes us feel a little better about ourselves. It's actually kind of nice to know that I'm not as bad as Justin Roiland, and neither are you, and very few people are. So that's nice to think about. That's good to consider. Justin Roiland has said that he's going to try to move on from this and push forward and try to rebuild his career. But I ultimately see this affair as a net positive because it did help a lot of stupid, brainwashed people realize that the show they'd been consuming for nearly a decade straight was trash, created by a misogynist to fuel his toxic, narcissistic fantasies. I think that's ultimately beneficial for society. So, in that small way, Rick and Morty haters have won, and society has moved on. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle. There's no reversing time. It's not 2017 anymore, and Rick and Morty isn't funny anymore. It's not that time anymore. The curtain's been pulled back. The wizard's revealed himself, and the wizard is a fragile, insecure, weak little neckbeard whose career is effectively over. There is no recovering from this, and I think that's definitely for the best. And Justin Roiland just makes me fucking sick. He just makes me ill. I'm going to try to move past it also and just go on with my life and make better comics and cartoons and shit than Justin Roiland could ever possibly dream of in his sheltered Californian existence. All that really matters here is that society woke the fuck up. We became woke, so to speak. We realized that certain things just aren't acceptable, and there are some ethical boundaries you just can't cross, even if they're not illegal. They're contemptible, they're disgusting, they're reprehensible in every possible way, and there is no coming out of it. I don't know. This got a little darker than just Justin Roiland. I mean, there's a lot of problems in today's sick, sad world, but I think one of the keys to not letting it get you down too much is just to, focus on what makes you happy. Focus on what you personally find enjoyable in life, and don't. There's a lot of depressing shit out there, but there's also a lot of stuff that can bring your spirits up a little. All I've ever tried to do is just make people happy with art and shit, and I don't know. At the end of the day, I guess what I mean to say is just that I'm not going to focus on Justin Roiland. I'm not going to worry about his sorry, pathetic ass. But there's so much more shit in the world right now. I mean, what am I doing? I got to invest in this shit. I got to invest in it, and I care too much about it. I think the way Rick and Morty will lose its power. I think the way this kind of culture of just shit behavior will lose its power is if we just don't consume it and we make fun of it and call it out. So if you dislike Justin Roiland, if you think he's a fucking piece of shit, don't let anyone tell you that you can't speak your mind and voice your opinion, say your thoughts, have your piece, Say whatever you want. There's nothing stopping you. There's no point in just pretending anymore. It's like it's sad. It's really depressing, but like I said, I'm kind of just capable of being depressed. Just my autism, I guess. I feel fine. Sun's shining outside. It's a nice day. And I'm sorry to, the lady in Justin Roiland's lawsuit. I'm sorry. Fuck, I don't even know who you are. Sorry. That's all I can say. Thanks for watching, I guess. Fuck.